In April 2026, there was an episode of The Curse of Oak Island in which historian Charlotte Wheatley revealed that 3 Knights Templar churches in France had their orientations aligned with Oak Island in Nova Scotia, Canada, where there is an ongoing television series about a search for a legendary treasure. The churches are the Church of Saint Radegund, Talmont-sur-Gironde, the Chapel of Saint Radegund, Courant, and the Church of Saint Radegund, Saint Radegund. Talmont had been mentioned in the treasure map previously revealed to the Oak Island team by the late Zena Halpern. It says in French, the Lion Cub of Talmont, presumably referring to the island. Charlotte Wheatley, in her video on the discovery, mentions that Talmont had had a sphinx-shaped rock, now destroyed. In the episode A Templar Connection Revealed, the Oak Island team were speaking with Professor Adriano Gaspani about Charlotte Wheatley's discovery. After being given the GPSA coordinates of several structures on Oak Island, including the rounded feature recently discovered on Lot 5, Professor Gaspani in Italy has analysed Charlotte's research and compared it with his own study of stellar alignments between the churches and specific features on Oak Island. He says, very precise measurements are necessary. I did all the necessary calculations, and indeed the 3 churches, if extended, align. The axes of the 3 churches would intersect with Oak Island. The interesting thing is that the Lot 5 structure features stellar alignments. We have an alignment with the rising of Sirius, and on the opposite side we have a star alignment with the Pleiades and Hamel. At right angles to this is an alignment with Deneb. These are very important stars as part of Templar astronomy. All 3 of the churches date from the end of the 1100s to the beginning of the 1200s. Archaeologist Laird Niven said that someone from France was here at that time and established a base of operations. Zena's map mentioned Talmont, meant to represent a Templar journey to the island. All these factors converge together. All these areas that were significant on her map have proven to be significant today. This could be a multi-generational endeavour and moved something of great value over time. The churches are all dedicated to Saint Radegund, 520 to 587, who was a Thuringian princess and Frankish queen, who founded the Abbey of Holy Cross at Poitiers. She is the patroness saint of several churches in France and England and Jesus College, Cambridge. There is also a legend of her taming a dragon. Such legends are often associated with Leys. Also, in her video about the discovery, Charlotte Wheatley showed that depictions of Saint Radegund had included a 4-dot cross, such as that on the HO stone on Oak Island, and which have been found connected with the Templars in a number of places in Europe visited by the Oak Island team. The Templars were a military monastic order founded in 1119 to protect pilgrims going to Jerusalem. But originally there were only 9 of them, and they carried out investigations at the site of Solomon's Temple on Temple Mount. The order then became suddenly rich and went on to become one of the most powerful orders in Christendom. There has been speculation that they discovered the treasures of Solomon's Temple. The suppression of the order began on Friday, October 13, 1307, when King Philip IV of France ordered the mass arrest of members, driven by immense debt and a desire for their wealth. But they must have had some prior knowledge of the impending threat, as the wealth the king was trying to obtain vanished. Templar symbols found on Oak Island led to the theory that this is the legendary treasure of Oak Island. But even if it is, it could not have been the original deposition, if the orientation of the churches was meant to be a clue to its whereabouts. It took a long time to build churches at that time, as well as mysterious flood tunnel protections. So it would have to have been a deposition at the beginning of their existence, possibly the temple treasures. When looking on the Oak Island map for a possible alignment to match the lines from the French churches, I found the rounded feature on Lot 5 aligns with the left-hand stone of Nolan's cross and the top stone. It also goes through Jowdry's Cove, possibly through the site of the HO stone. Its precise position is not now known as it was dynamited. This stone had a 4-dot cross on it, a symbol of that the team have found in many places in Europe connected with the Templars. The line also goes through the centre of the Coffer Dam in Smith's Cove and possibly the U-shaped feature. Unfortunately, the line is not due east, but nearly southeast. It does seem to be an important alignment, however. Then I found that the rounded feature aligns with the well near the coast and the ruined Samuel Ball residence. Ball was a cabbage farmer and ex-slave who suddenly became very rich. If the alignment of the stones in the long axis of Nolan's cross is added, a triangle looking like the Great Pyramid is formed. Though the base angles aren't precise. One is 50 degrees, the other 45 degrees. The line of the cross extends as a great circle to the Templar island of Bornholm, but more of that later. It also goes through the Samuel Ball residence, which is one corner of the triangle. There is also an alignment from the Ball residence to the Eye of the Swamp, an apparently man-made feature on one corner of the triangular swamp, and the Serpent Mound on Lot 15. This is a 130-degree earth and stone feature in a snake shape. Charcoal found there shows human activity and has been carbon dated to 1320 to 1440. This is much more nearly east-west, so could be the line from France, or one of them, though they were so close in angle it could be considered one line for practical purposes. It also means the Ball residence is a lay centre, so maybe he built it on a former structure. Further alignments were then found with the rounded feature. It also aligns with the bottom stone of Nolan's cross and the Eye of the Swamp. It also aligns with a stone from the cross and the stone triangle near the money pit. Another line links the right-hand stone of the cross to the money pit. Yet another links it to the headstone, where the lines of the cross meet, and which was found to be in the shape of a head, and then to 10x. This makes the feature on Lot 5 a very good lay centre. In the third article in his Callard Experience series in the network of Lay Hunters newsletter, Mark Herbert includes a map of eastern United States and Canada, showing alignments between places proposed to be associated with Norse settlers and the Knights Templar. Two of these seem to form part of a lunation triangle, a right-angled triangle with sides of proportions 12, 13, 5, as described by Robin Heath at the Society of Lay Hunters Moot in Pembrokeshire, though this cannot be absolutely certain due to the small scale of the map. One of the sides of the triangle is the famous alignment of Eastern American cities, apparently connected with the War of Independence: Boston, New York, Philadelphia and Washington, D.C., discovered by Jim Allison. His map also includes Baltimore, while Mark Herbert's also includes Atlanta, so there are 6 cities in all. The line continues to L'Anse aux Meadows in Newfoundland, the proposed first landing place of Norse settlers in 1000. Jim Allison has also found this alignment crosses the Atlantic as a great circle to pass through Stonehenge and London. These are both places on other lunation triangles. Stonehenge on the one found by Robin Heath, linking it to Lundy Island and the Preseli Hills, and London on the one formed by the three British capital cities, London, Cardiff and Edinburgh. Lundy Island is another island owned by the Templars, though for some reason they never occupied it. The western corner of the American Triangle is at Boston, and the southern side goes on from there to Oak Island in Nova Scotia, home of the infamous Money Pit. The pit was made of platforms of logs with connections to the sea, which cause it to flood when excavated. It's proposed in the article, quoting a book by Stephen Sora, that it was the invention of the Sinclair Templars, who landed at Tor Bay, also on the southern alignment, in 1398. Although once again it can't be certain, this alignment seems to align with the long axis of Nolan's cross, formed by 5 stones on the island. The crossing point of the 2 lines was excavated, and a stone like a human head was found, and a sword design on the side, which was thought to link it with the Templars. The YouTube video putting this forward also claims that the long axis of Nolan's cross continued as a great circle, passes through Bornholm, a Danish island once occupied by the Templars. This island is the subject of a book, The Templars' Secret Island, by Henry Lincoln and Erling Hugginson. The third side of the triangle, containing the right angle, can seemingly be drawn connecting 2 places on the map marked with Templar crosses, as St. John places. John the Baptist was revered by the Templars. I was interested to see in an episode of The Curse of Oak Island some years ago that the line from Oak Island to Valkenburg Castle in the Netherlands seems to go through Lundy Island, a tiny island in the Bristol Channel between England and Wales. It's just 3 miles long by 1 mile wide, but nevertheless it's another island which has been owned by the Knights Templar in the 12th and 13th centuries. King Henry II granted Lundy Island to the Order of the Temple in 1160. The granting of estates and land to the Templars was widespread in these centuries. The Templars were a major international maritime force at this time, and the reason for the grant was possibly to prevent the island being used as a base for pirates to prey on the shipping lanes. In 1199, the first year of his reign, King John confirmed the grant of the island to the Templars. This information was from http://www.lundyisleofavalon.co.uk/Templars. This site also has information suggesting they came to North America, particularly Nova Scotia. However, historical records seem to indicate the Knights Templar never gained physical possession of Lundy or made any serious attempt to do so. There are certainly no Templar buildings there as on Bornholm, though there are many prehistoric monuments. This is a bit of a mystery, though the island is difficult to access, with sheer cliffs down to the sea in most of its coast. Just one small landing beach, which had to be accessed with small boats until the 20th century, when a jetty was built for the Lundy ferry.
It was actually carved for a fireplace piece, and the main fireplace in the house, this was supposed to be above it. And on that fireplace today there are occult symbols and astrological signs which would have been around this monument itself, but for some reason ended up outside, probably because they decided not to, or to show it to people, I'm not sure. But it's a bit of a mystery how it ended up outside. There's also a painting in the house by Teniers, which also shows you the 2 prophets in the desert, which is also unusual because Henry Lincoln got the clues out of the manuscripts to say that Teniers and Poussin have the key. So interesting, both those keys are at Shugborough. And the Ansons are the link because they were involved with the Priory of Zion and the occultists, including Thomas Wright, who designed this monument itself. No, it stands exactly, because it's a mirror image of the painting by the sun. It's not, it's all a reflection. Everything's the other way around. So that in itself is saying, look at something opposite. Jansen and Thomas Wright were behind this mystery. Thomas Wright chiseled it, made it, George Jansen designed it and put the mystery into it. So the answer lies with them. Now George Jansen, being Admiral of the Fleet, was a very powerful, very wealthy man. Most of his money he never spent. And so it's believed that because he was the Grand Master of not just the Priories, not Priories, but
the Royal Society
and the Lunar Society, he probably put a lot of money into what was going on at the time. So what was happening at the time? Well, you know, Catholic Protestants, all that was going on. A new land in America was being prepared. So, and the Freemasons wanted to have a new Catholic Freemason kingdom.
What was the date again?
1700.
Yeah, 1725.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So it's right at that key time when America was being founded. So we think, and a lot of people think, a lot of that money went to America to found it, to start off, to build the new Jerusalem, as what the Freemasons believed. And interesting enough, one of the first points of discovery was a place in Brunswick in Canada, and its earliest name in French was Arcadia. So in Arcadia is also referring to Arcadia across the waters. In Canada, the first Masonic foundation in the New World was in Arcadia in America, or Canada. It was all one then. So it's possible, and that's where the money pit was also found. And those of you who have looked into the money pit, there's another head scratcher.
That's Nova Scotia, isn't it?
Nova Scotia.
Nova Scotia. So all in that, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, all in that area is part of the new Templar, the modern Templar foundation.
Oak Island.
So some people think practically that his money went there, and therefore this really alludes to the Arcadia across the waters. But then other people think, why would he risk, taking his money across to the new land and burying it, So it's possible that it was kept here and then taken out and taken over at a later time, but there's nothing here anymore. But the clues are still here to what was there at the time. You get what I mean?
But the money pit, Oak Island's money pit, was a phenomenal undertaking.
Absolutely. That you could talk an hour about.
Yeah,
by Google it.
You had two storm drains, and they put dye down it.
I know,
and then they found there was one, call it well shaft, and then that was a
that
wrong
would
one.
collapse as soon as you got near it. I know it was full of beaver traps, and it sounds an impossible thing. But there's another thing about this monument that I believe more. It's something also to do with the spiritual side of things, because Arcadia was seen as also the higher realms, is the way spirits go, or the realms in between. So it's also maybe alluding to a secret knowledge that you can access this sort of fountain of knowledge, or the Grail, if you like. And interesting enough, on the camp monument is the Grail, guarded by two griffins, and the griffins are symbolic of buried treasure or knowledge
and wisdom.
Wisdom. So the clues in the Cap Monument is
It was discovered by researcher Jim Allison that the 5 American cities particularly involved with the American War of Independence, Baltimore, Washington DC, New York, Philadelphia and Boston, were aligned. This alignment, as a great circle course, crosses the Atlantic and continues to Britain, passing through Stonehenge and London. This line is shown on the video Secrets of America by Xenophoria. Plotting this line on a globe, it's found to go through a number of other significant places, including Jerusalem. This plotting can be more accurate than it seems, as long as 2 criteria are met. The northernmost and southernmost points of the circle must be at the same latitude, north and south, and the course must be a straight line viewed from above, all around the globe. It's not pinpoint accuracy, of course, but it can accurately show that it goes through a particular town or city. From London, the line crosses Belgium and part of Germany, to Venice, then crosses western Turkey to pass through Cyprus and the Neolithic village site of Kirokitia. This is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the most important and best preserved in the Eastern Mediterranean. It consists of round buildings in a wall of stone, occupied from the 7th to the 4th millennium BC. Two of the theoretical derivations of the name suggest that it could be sacred place or connected with palmistry. The line then crosses to Israel to pass through Jerusalem, sacred to 3 currently existing religions. After this, it crosses Jordan, Saudi Arabia and Yemen. The line then swings south of Australia and New Zealand, not touching land again until it reaches Mexico. It passes through Mexico City, site of Tenochtitlan, the capital of the Aztec Empire. It was built on an island in a lake with a network of canals and artificial islands. Templo Mayor, the main temple, formed part of the sacred precinct, which consisted of more than 78 structures. From here, the line goes on to Teotihuacan, the largest urban centre of Mesoamerica before the Aztecs, almost 1,000 years before them. It was already in ruins by their time. It has pyramids, multi-family residential compounds, and an avenue of the dead. The line then crosses the Gulf of Mexico to New Orleans. The Bayou St. John area was a centre for mound-building Native Americans, and the large mound here was used as a foundation for a French fort. Archaeologists have found some of the oldest Native American artefacts here. The line then continues on to the alignment of the American cities.